So basically this is the studio space. You're currently sat on a windowsill over there, and I will probably work over here. This is kind of where I envisage my desk being. Ta-da! Welcome to the studio. And do you know what? The premium members, the MTog guys, have seen so much about the space. We did build vlogs from the start to the finish of building this building. This is like a fun time. It's just not going well right now.
Doesn't it look like a cake that's just been iced?
And it's been a really emotional roller coaster. But we have been in here technically since around about the 1st of April this year. So we've been in here for a while now, getting used to the space, learning how we want to use it. Of course, when you plan a building, you can only plan what you think you're going to do in the space and how you want to use it. And then it kind of evolves from there forward. So I want to show you around our studio space. Finally, it's not 110% finished yet, but I'd say we're about 99% of the way there. Of course, as the MTogs well know, the echo still exists. Echo! And we just deal with it because we are looking at alternative plans and if we even want to implement them, because to be honest, it's not really the end of the world once we've got used to it. You guys can hear a snippet of unecho checked audio right now. So you can see how bad the echo actually is in real life. It's pretty bad. So we do treat the audio, dry it out as best as we can, and that's what we put onto YouTube, but we kind of get used to it. And for when I'm filming at my desk, we do have an alternative solution. So at the moment, we're in an echo chamber and I'm okay with it. In terms of the space, if you don't know and you aren't a premium member and you haven't been with us through the build process, I'm going to show you some super cool little bits and pieces about the design and the elements within the building itself that make it really, really good as our own photography studio, but also as an office space, because the team will work in here on different days of the week to do lots of different tasks. We also take meetings in here, calls in here, and of course teach from in here too on one-to-ones. So it's a real multi-purpose space. The building is in its entirety all the way back, and so I thought I'd take you along for a ride. So how did we start? Well, this is in our garden. It's in our garden at our private home, and it was just a grass messy space with a greenhouse on and basically part of our driveway. So the building itself is 16 meters long, and my part of that is 8 meters in this room and then another meter behind me for my cupboard and toilet area. And that's kind of my little bit. So in terms of the space in here, you can see that I've got super high vaulted ceilings, which means I can put my lights at any height I want, and I'm not going to hit the top. That was part number one of designing a studio space that's really, really versatile, is to get as much ceiling height as you can. The second key element of this building in terms of how it was built for us and to be usable as a studio and as an office space was to have a really large wall to be able to place our backdrops on. Our backdrop system is a motorized one, and that's from ClickProp's Backdrops. So it is very, very easy to change backdrops during a session, in the middle of a session and after a session without having to manually move things around or even manually pull a chain. Also, it looks really good for clients. Looks like we are knowing what we're doing, which is always useful. So that's our backdrop system. Now you'll also notice that immediately behind me is a whiteboard. So that's for our team briefing sessions. All of our team to-do lists and mind mapping, all of that happens on that board. And it's also included in some of the online courses, such as Photography for Beginners, which is a super short theory-packed online course. And that utilizes that whiteboard a little bit. So I kind of explain and draw out ideas and concepts so that people can know what's going on. Another really important thing for us was, of course, our enormous TV. So we have a big TV on that wall. Don't know how big it is. Dan will put it on the screen. Don't bother me in the slightest. This TV is not a really, really expensive one, but it is really high quality. So it means that I can do my in-person sales sessions for private clients with that TV in this space, and it gives a really accurate reproduction of the colour from all of our Apple computers, which are calibrated with our Data Colour Spider Pros. Okay, so lots of information packed into that one. The next thing that's really, really important for us in here is light control. So the room was designed with light control as one of the highest priorities. So you'll notice we don't have any roof lights. So there's no Velux windows up at the top. And the windows that we do have are able to be covered with blackout blinds that fall a little bit wider than the window width, but still absolutely appropriate. And for neatness, I did have them set into the recess rather than over the front. So I lost a little bit on that perfect darkness theory, but I don't need it to be perfectly dark. I just need to control the light, and that gives me super control. The front side of the building is glazed with glass. So it's a 3-meter wide door, which is commercial door can open both inwards and outwards for versatility. So we can move large props, tables, even ponies inside and outside as needed. We also have these shutter doors on the front, and that's that light control element. So it gives me full control of the amount of light that I let in on the front. I can either open them just a little bit, open them a lot, open them fully, or I can block light from one side and let it in the other to give me really good control. So we had those shutter doors purpose built for that front section, which was one of the most important parts of the build for me. So the last part of our light control is our access door. So our access door is actually a stable door, and it all opens outwards. So you'll notice that inside the room itself, there is nothing on the footprint other than the furniture and things that we add. So if you open any of the doors, they all will not open into this space. So we're not losing space on the inside. The stable door itself, you can keep dogs and children safely inside whilst opening the top for airflow. You can also let additional light in from that top section if needed. One of my favorite things about this entire space is, of course, my little mini kitchen area. Literally, for me to survive, all I need to live forevermore is Yorkshire tea and hot water. So I have everything that I need in that bottom corner. I have a boiling water tap, which removes the need to have a kettle or clutter on the top surface. It allows me to make cups of tea whenever I want without having to boil a kettle. Actually, it does work out more energy efficient and cost effective, apparently, according to the manufacturer. But I just want hot water to drink tea as much as I want to, and so that gives me that. All the way around the building in strategic locations, which have been well thought out, we have got charging banks, power banks. So at my desk, I have 3 double sockets. In the cupboard, which has got all of our charging bank in, there are 6 double sockets in there, and then there are double sockets dotted around strategically, often hidden behind furniture, just to give us enough access points for power. And one of my biggest bugbears using spaces is that there's not enough plugs. So in here, we definitely weren't going to let that happen. Of course, I also have artwork on the walls. There is one gap where I don't have artwork just yet, which is right there. That is because I'm waiting for the perfect picture to be able to put onto my acrylic sample. But these work great for us to just have our art on the walls, but also for clients to see our samples, because every single product that is on the walls is technically for sale. So it's good to have them on show when needed. And the final thing that we did in here was we did a concrete floor. So we haven't put any flooring down in here, theoretically. We're still on the concrete screed floor base. So this is just a screed floor poured and semi-polished. Now, no, it's not polished concrete. So we don't have a polished concrete floor because I'm working with dogs and animals. I don't want slippy floors so that legs can go everywhere and we can have injuries. That's not the plan. But what we have done is we have put a sealant over the top, which has left it 100% waterproof and also really, really durable, but it's retained the original concrete floor finish. Now, if I was to do it again, would I do the same thing? Probably yes. I would do the same thing with the floor. The only thing that I would do is I would leave it to cure for a lot longer and then coat it with the waterproofer, and then leave it and then move in. Because of the timescales, how everything fell, we actually moved into the building before the sealant was applied. The floor was dry, but the sealant wasn't applied. And so what that's left us with is a few little marks on the floor that we just have to live with because we didn't wait and have that level of patience. So that's the one thing probably that I'd do differently. Inside this room, we've got a cupboard space to the right-hand side and the toilet space to the left-hand side of where I'm sat right now. And so hopefully we'll put in some little clips to show you guys around, but that is our studio. Hopefully you're all safe and well right now, and hopefully finally seeing our studio space hasn't been too long. I know I could have done this in April, but we just didn't have everything ironed out at that point. So now is the time. Hopefully you guys are a little bit as excited as I am about this space. It's a complete game changer for us, and it's probably saved Dan and my marriage, I'd say, because working together in the whole entirety of our house 24/7 is a little bit much for any relationship. So this gives us a safe space to be able to work and be able to leave that work at the door when we go inside. It doesn't always work like that, but we like to think it does. Hope you guys are safe and well, and I'll see you guys next week for another 5 Minute Friday.